What's good, meaningful movers? Welcome back to Move With Meaning, the podcast, where actions have meaning, words have meaning, and we open up the conversations to discover what's your next move. I'm your host, Krystal. In today's episode, let's talk about hitting a crossroad. We have many of them, though what prepares us to take the road less traveled? But y'all know how it is and what we do. We need to set that theme. So let's go ahead and do that. The word of the day is revelation. This is a surprising fact that was once unknown, but now revealed, but in an extraordinary way. Now that you know what you are driven to do, are you ready? That's enough of me talking. How about we introduce our guest? And there's no one better to do that than himself. Josh, why don't you give the people a bit of background about yourself and what you're going to share with us today?
You bet, Krystal. Thank you. Thanks for that little intro. And yes, my name is Josh Flower. It's good to be here today. And what I'd like to talk about is, as you said, revelations, transformations, adjustments, because I'm a person that is, had a 25-year sales career that I'm still within right now. But I had a revelation in my late 40s that I was meant for more. What spoke to me was the ability to help people, to coach them with what I've learned in my life and in my career. So despite the fact that I had a very successful career in sales, I've branched off in a new direction and now I'm doing double duty. And so it's never too late to find your true path in life. Even if you've got a successful career, even if you have all the trappings of success that we hear about, sometimes there's another path and you should keep your eyes peeled for that.
You know what? Other thing I want to bring attention to is that it's technology sales, by the way, folks. So we're in similar stomping grounds, and I really love this. And when we talked, we had such a huge connection that it was almost like we were speaking a different language that anybody else would understand, but just between us. So I really like how you talked about you had this revelation. What, I guess, brought you to this particular transformation? What really happened that made you say, okay, let's change and make this shift?
Yeah, let's make a pivot. Well, I think like most people, I was under the impression that success meant certain things, right? And so that was a certain income level. For some people, it might be rising to a certain level within an organization. For me, it was always having a degree of autonomy, meaning I could work from home. I've worked from home for 20 years, be left alone to do my thing, take breaks when I want them, that sort of thing. I mean, I realized all these things that I thought were the definition of success and realized I'm not sure that I'm happy or fulfilled. I've got all the things that are supposed to lead to fulfillment. So why do I not feel fulfilled? Why am I still undermining myself with my habits? Why am I still papering over maybe some of the problems in my life with bad habits? What's that all about? So, Krystal, as I was approaching my 50th birthday, I guess I just did a little bit of an honest inventory of my life and where I was at and realized, there's some things I think that need to change here. But I wasn't, at that point in time, this pathway that I'm on now was not yet illuminated. So I took a couple steps first that I'd be happy to talk about and share more info about if you'd like.
Oh, 100%. I'm going to stop you right there on that inventory.
Yeah.
Honest inventory. Oh, my goodness. That is so interesting. You took a moment to say, let me look at all the things that I have. And are they the things that I cherish? Are they the things that I want? Or if I've collected all this experience, it's almost like, and this is what I'm thinking, I'm almost giving you a reflection of me. When I hit that, and I'm at the stage where you were just saying, because I'm approaching 50, but I was thinking the same thing, and this is why I kind of went to where I was. For me, my inventory was, I've collected all of this experience, and it's great that I'm good at it, but I kind of feel like I'm hoarding it, I know that I have a great way to explain it so that's not only easily able to digest or consume, but can get others excited about it as well. And to help them on their journey, because maybe their passion is to continue on past where I'm at. I need to kind of help folks in a way that I think I did not have, that I wish I did have. And now that I do, it's one of those give back to move forward kind of scenarios. So before you went into your inventory, I was like, let me give them mine.
I love it. I love it.
So tell me about these steps you're talking about.
Yeah, indeed. And I think you've hit on something that I'm going to come back to, but
Mm-hmm.
you know what it was is, again, I earned great money and I had a great house, a beautiful marriage, lovely children. The kids are doing well, both off to university. And so I thought, why am I still not completely satisfied? And I wasn't satisfied with my physical body. Many of us in middle age, I think, can relate to that. So I wasn't happy with that. I wasn't happy with certain habits that I was using to give my life meaning. So I drank alcohol, I used other recreational drugs. I was distracted like most people, maybe craving too much entertainment and, phone time. That was the inventory where I looked at it and said, okay, I'm aware of these bad habits. I also feel like there's something inside me that wants to come out, that's not being satisfied with what I'm doing as my vocation. So where does that leave me? What I concluded is step number one, I've got to clean up my act. Let me clean up my act, and then perhaps what I'm meant to do will reveal itself to me. So the inventory was first looking at my lifestyle, my habits, and being honest about what I felt needed to change, and then going about the steps to change it. But I'm going to pause here just to say that it didn't take long, Krystal, if we want to call it like clean living or cleaning up my act. It only took about 3 months for me to begin seeing great results and then also begin to get a sense for what I was meant to do next.
That's good. I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of people, they're looking for something very immediate. And if they don't see it, they get discouraged immediately, and it's like, where are the results? You said they were going to be there. And I like how you looked at it as kind of, well, if you've cleaned up your act and got rid of all of the distractions and the shade and the clouds, your vision can be seen there. So if you're not getting the immediate results, do you think, okay, I need to go back and do an inventory?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I learned, and this is, I think, the nugget that anyone, that's listening today can take with them is, and I'm going to get deep here, but I realized what my purpose was and now what I believe everybody's purpose is. Well, there's actually two purposes, okay? So the first purpose is to create the individual that you're proud of. So create that person. And I don't care if you're 30, 40, 50, 60. If that person doesn't exist yet, if you're being called to something, and generally it's our conscience telling us, it's the feelings of regret that we have that are our guideline for what we may need to change in our lives. But step number one, fix yourself. In going through that process, the universe, God, source is going to reveal to you what you're meant to do with that optimized version of yourself. Maybe you're in a tough situation, but maybe you're in a darn good situation like I was in, Krystal. You got the great job, you got the great life, so to speak, but you still feel there's something more. I'm going to tell you now, start by fixing all of the rough edges in your own life, and I promise something greater is going to reveal itself.
I like that. When we talked, you did a really good word. Some people may not like it, but I love it, which is get rid of the self-destruction, the things that are tearing you down. Because despite all these external successes, the relationship, and like you said, all the great things of accomplishment, being a father, sending your kids off to school and giving everyone around you this great life, there was still something around that was tugging at you. In some cases, right, it's substance. And in other cases, internal trauma. It's internal wounds that are left unanswered because you use these distractions to avoid them. And now that they're no longer there, guess what's left? I like that. So your epiphany moment was, you said you woke up hungover. Yeah. Why was that such why was that an epiphany moment? Because I'm telling you right now, I've had several hangover days. So you tell me what was special about this day.
Oh, thank you for that. And yes, that was the epiphany moment. And I think there was something about me approaching my 50th birthday and waking up not feeling my best and realizing that I had done this to myself. Like I had many, many, many times, Krystal. Like I think most of us can relate to that, right? But this day it hit a little different. There was a level of shame to it, a feeling like, am I ever going to stop doing this to myself? And, so I guess the easiest way that I can say it is that it was the loudest regret that I'd ever felt. And I don't know why it was extra loud that day, but one of the things that I teach my clients is that you want to get in touch with your feelings of regret. You want to be purposeful about spending some time reflecting on the things that you regret, because regret is actually not a choice. It's just a feeling that we get. And so if you're feeling regret, that is your guideline from God, from the universe, about what you need to address in your own life. And so for some reason that day, I got the benefit of having a tremendous amount of regret. I pledged that morning that I'm done with this. I'm going to make some changes. That's what happened.
Yeah. You said that it's like, you got to be ready. You got to be ready to accept it and reflect on it. On this day, you are ready. It's interesting, right? That you had this negative emotion, this horrendous negative emotion that just was compounded, quadrupled on that day, but you were also in a place ready to receive it and to turn that and say, okay, I got you. I got you now, It's like how they go together.
Yes.
When they say that rock bottom, it's just this feeling that I don't feel good today. And I haven't been feeling really well. But today I really got it, So, and you mentioned in your first purpose was to create your best version of yourself and to get rid of all those things that are self-destructive. So you exchanged bad for good to create this domino effect. And you mentioned small things. You call them non-negotiables. Yeah. What are those for you?
Yeah. Well, and just a couple more comments about this feeling, right? So this feeling that we have, it is a beautiful gift when you can start to listen to it, that feeling of regret. What I'm hoping today is that I can share this with people so that they tap into it, because I wish I'd tapped into it sooner. I wish I'd tapped into this feeling 10 years earlier, because I'd be that much further along, but this was my time. I just view it as this beautiful gift where I had clarity finally about what I was meant to be doing. So immediately that morning, Krystal, the new non-negotiables for me were no more drinking and no more substance use and abuse. So that was how it started. And then shortly thereafter, it was introducing regular exercise into my life, because I'd really fallen off the wagon with that for good reason. I had an injured back, and I think most people can relate to having an injury that may take them off the path a little bit, but you got to keep going. You got to persevere. You got to keep trying to find a way to get back on your feet. And so I finally was able to do that. And then those dominoes began to fall. So I introduced the working out. I cleaned up my diet and committed to sticking to a game plan that could allow me to achieve my goals. And so one by one, I began to add these non-negotiables in. And today I have a large list of daily non-negotiables that I live my life by. But let me pause there, though.
Once you start to realize you are able to handle all these things, why stop there? The world is your oyster to keep becoming this better version for you, not for others.
Correct.
For you.
And you know what? One of the things is that a big problem that I see, and I remember it in myself, is when we don't have any non-negotiables in our life, it's very hard to introduce them, because everybody can relate to this. I'm going to start dieting on Monday, and then by Wednesday, you fall off the wagon, or I'm going to stop, whatever, insert vice here. And if we can just build up a little bit of consistency just in one arena, just pick one thing that we can make as a non-negotiable, stick to it for a month. Now you've got a foothold, right? There's some progress. You can begin to trust yourself, because ultimately you need to rely on yourself to turn your entire life around. I can't do it for you. No one can do it for you. You've got to turn your own life around, but it starts with trust, believing yourself that, yes, I can say that I'm going to start doing this or stop doing this, and I know that I will follow through. But that trust is developed through action over time. So often with my clients that are really in a difficult position, it starts with one simple non-negotiable, and then we build and build.
Oh, since I've been doing this podcast, I've been hearing that term over and over again, way more, to be honest with you, than self-care, is that self-trust. It just opened my eyes to a whole lot of things as far as why I'm afraid to take the next step, why I'm afraid to speak to my husband, why I'm afraid to, just to talk to people about confrontational things or just anything. It's like, I don't trust myself and how I'm going to react. I don't trust this, trust that. So I'm always trying to control the outcome versus just accepting what it is and moving forward. Basically being very fluid in life and finding all the positives, becoming a better communicator. So yeah, I think as I'm just doing this same thing, I was doing the same thing as you. I'm just really reflecting on this. Like, wow, I kind of did this small step thing. And it was just communicate, share your feelings and share your thoughts and see what happens. Don't make the decision for somebody else. I don't know.
That's very mature. And that's something that I think what you've articulated, Krystal, is a big problem for a lot of people, which is we want to control outcomes and we're worried about certain outcomes. So we feel like we've got to steer the ship in a direction or we've got to avoid certain things instead of just letting life unfold and dealing with it. What you just described to me is someone that is developing a level of assertiveness that, look, my feelings are valid. My perspective is valid. I'm not going to think about how I'm going to put this on the world. I'm just going to share and I'm going to start being a more honest and open person. And I think that can be a big relief for people when you feel like I don't need to control this any longer.
It is. I'm telling you, it is.
Yeah.
It's a level of freedom.
Yes.
You're being unbound. It goes beyond.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. But as you said, like it's baby steps, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really what my goal is with my clients is how do I get you to gradually increase that level of self-belief and self-trust so that we can continue to ratchet up the good habits and continue to relinquish the bad habits, which sadly, and maybe like sort of ironically, the bad habits are the ones that feel so darn good in the moment. And the good habits are the ones that are painful in the moment, but give us a great outcome later on. And so it's no wonder that most of us are hitched up and doing the things that are pleasurable or comfortable in the moment. But this is what we gradually need to condition ourselves is to let go of that pleasure chasing, that comfort chasing, and instead focus on the things that are going to build us over time. And again, it's incremental. I would never work with someone and say, okay, we're going to start out 6 days a week at the gym and we're going to change your diet overnight and put your phone away and no more television. And it's like, no, let's take this a step at a time here.
For sure. It doesn't sound attractive, does it? Right?
No, it sounds horrible. People run the other direction.
For sure. So you mentioned the first primary objective.
Yes.
And once you get to a point where we're moving in that great direction, we can now see our secondary purpose. What is that one?
Yeah. Okay. And that primary purpose, the thing that I love about that is think about it. The gift we've all been given is our little life in this great big world, right? We've been given this gift. It's the only thing we have dominion over, our thoughts and our actions within this life. Right? Analogy I like to use is if you imagine that the global society is a great big chain, we're all links on that chain, right? And all of us have an important role in keeping the chain strong, keeping the chain sturdy. It's to look after our little link, our life. And so that's step one. Take care of yourself, love yourself, do right by yourself. Once you're doing that consistently, what I think going to happen for most people is they are going to get turned on to an idea of how can I serve others? And others could be other people. It could be animals. It could be the environment. It could be just something that is life-giving and life-affirming. And that's what happened to me, Krystal, because sales, in a sense, is that because sales is about solving problems, right? You understand that a potential customer has a business problem and perhaps you have a solution. And so in a roundabout way, it is sort of giving to others, but it wasn't enough for me anymore. And once I really began to take care of myself, it just hit me right between the eyes that I have to take this sort of knowledge and this wisdom that I've gathered in my 51 years now, learned through life, but also through my career. And I got to find a way to share that. So it just became obvious to me that that's what I need to do. I need to find a way to share it. And so that's what I began to do. And then a few months after, I started to post some of the things that I'd learned on Instagram. And then I thought, why don't I start a coaching business and help people, number one, get that first purpose tackled, and then help launch them to whatever that next purpose is for them. And I think for all of us, it's going to be something a little bit different, but I think it's going to be a heart-led purpose.
Yeah. I'm okay with failing. That does not
Good.
freak me out whatsoever, ever. But I've met several people that are very intimidated about failure to the point where they will not take risks. They will overcalculate every, test, do exhaustive testing or exhaustive analysis, research before they make a decision. And by that time, it's like, okay, well, the time to have invested or the time to have done X, Y, and Z, you've kind of left a path of, maybe damaged relationships or negative perception because of that. Because to me, and you said this too, failure is our greatest teacher.
Yes.
And that's where an abundance of my experience. This is how I was really successful in IT, very much so. But what can you say about that to yourself and as well to others who are kind of in that uncomfortable space of failing?
Yes. Thanks for mentioning that, because the biggest thing holding people back is failure avoidance. And we have to give ourselves a break, because if we think back to our days in school, and for some of us, that was a really long time ago, right? Present company definitely included there. But the whole point was to get the answers right. It was to be successful and to not fail. But what I learned in the professional world was that developing a skill set like sales was just constant failure, because you would try things out in the field, working with other people, they wouldn't work. And then there needed to be a reflection process where you examine what you'd done wrong and then try and adapt your behavior and try again. And it's just this iterative process where you're continuing to move forward. And so the message I have for others, as well as to myself early in my career, was, unfortunately, you're going to need to get comfortable with the discomfort of failure. View it as a tool or a mechanism. The way that you do that is by reflecting on it. So unfortunately, it's almost like you have to go through the pain twice, Krystal, the pain of failure and then the pain of examining your failure. But if you can force yourself to do this, you are going to get such tremendous lessons that will allow you to grow and continue forward. Again, I think if people can start with the primary purpose of loving themselves, they'll be more tolerant of the notion of failing once they're moving on to that secondary purpose, because they'll have self-belief, self-trust, realize that it's okay. Nobody's perfect, certainly not me.
For sure. I'm glad that we kind of talked about this, because that really, to me, made the first purpose and second purpose come full circle.
Oh, good.
I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, once you've tackled yourself and examined yourself and start creating the better version, no wonder the second purpose comes after that, because you've built up like you said, the self-trust that any limiting beliefs or thoughts that were once there, they go at that point, because you're ready to move to the next purpose.
Krystal, I'm so happy you said that, because that's a very important wrinkle. Here's the thing, right? I don't know that anyone wants to hear that, oh, just getting into shape is my purpose. Okay, it's just the primary purpose. It's like the stepping stone, right? I know deep down in your heart, you want to help others. I know that you want to help the people you love, right? You want to show them the way, show them what you've learned. But the problem is, you're holding yourself back so long as you don't optimize yourself. You don't trust yourself enough to be that leader, that community leader, that movement leader, frankly. You have to trust yourself and demonstrate love to yourself and lead by your example. This is how I treat myself. This is how I show up in the world. And then you will allow yourself to take the position that you really want to have. But you can't circumvent the you part. That's got to be step number one. So please, everybody, do that inventory. Be honest with yourself. Look in the mirror, figuratively, but also literally. Examine yourself and then decide what needs to change. What can I start working on today?
Josh has been dropping some bombs today in this episode. I can't even believe how much time has passed, because it was that involved, like that interesting and creative. I have goosebumps. I really do.
Me too.
But I hate to ask, but really, do you have any golden nuggets that you would have some catch up, just to recap?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's my ultimate golden nugget. And I want people to not just switch off when I start talking about this. Just hear me out, okay? The single most important thing that I did to turn my life around, I woke up that morning hungover, probably a little later than I wanted to wake up. And I thought, I have to start waking up a little bit earlier and prioritizing myself in the morning. And so my golden nugget for everybody is starting as soon as you can, just set your alarm 30 minutes earlier than normal. Do a little bit of self-prioritization first thing. And so what that should look like is, number one, you're taking command of the day with the very first decision. You're prioritizing you. That's your purpose. Prioritize you. I want you to read a page of a positive book, maybe a quote book with a nice biblical passage or a stoic passage or some other philosophy that you believe in and that you enjoy. Read that to prime yourself, put yourself into a positive state. Then take a few minutes and do the regret reflection. And all you have to do is say to yourself, what do I regret about yesterday? And then just think through your day. And I promise the nuggets will start to come. The universe will tell you, you shouldn't have spoken to your spouse that way. You shouldn't have fooled around on your phone for that hour. You shouldn't have eaten that pizza at 9 p.m. Like, it will just give you the downloads and then pledge to do better today. Okay. And then the last thing, if you can squeeze this in as well, do some form of exercise. Depending on where you're at in your journey, that could be a walk around the block. That could be walking up and down the stairs in your house a few times just to get the blood pumping. Something like that will put you into a great frame of mind first thing in the morning. I promise you, if you can execute on these simple steps, and it can grand total take 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you will feel better. Just keep it going. So that's my golden nugget, Krystal.
That's the reflection coach, Josh, I know. That's the episode today. Life tends to be much like a puzzle. We always start with the easy ones, the end pieces. Think about that for a moment. We start crafting our story by drawing the boundary. I know starting in the middle or somewhat offset from the center is not the most appealing, but you get a chance to start where it matters most, the inside out. Josh has truly embraced this, where his philosophy prioritizes you first. Only then can the second purpose truly be revealed. That's right. Who said you only get one? Are you finding yourself feeling like you have more in the tank? Well, there's definitely more to you than you can ever imagine. All you have to do is put your mind to it and toss away those bad vices. I love it all, and so will someone else. Before I let you go, Josh, why don't you go ahead and remind the people who you are, where they can find your resources, or reach out to you.
I just love what you said there. That was great. I might have to borrow that. Start the puzzle from the inside, not the boundary. Love that. So where people can find me. So this is what I encourage everybody. I've got my website, joshflower.com. That's great. You can go and read a little bit about me. But if you really want to see how I live and get a sense for how I run my morning routine and the way, the habits that I employ in my life to be happy and successful, follow me on Instagram. So it's instagram.com/Josh Flower and then the number 1. So Josh Flower 1. I'll be on there every single day. You can send me messages, we can chat, and I would encourage anyone, just check me out. And before you make a decision about whether I could be a catalyst for change in your life, just observe and see. There are also tons of other great coaches online, so you can find someone to help you. Instagram's a great resource.
I like that. Just try. I'll make sure to include all of Josh's resources and connections in the episode description, as well as on my website's resources page, movingwithmeaning.com. Make sure you guys subscribe to the show, Moving With Meaning the podcast, and tap that alert bell so you know when these episodes drop. I am on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube Music. Please share, like, repost, and follow. Tag someone. We are creating a community. Quick housekeeping before you go. Follow me on Instagram at movingwithmeaning82 and on my Pinterest at Arthur KB Clark. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn. I do dabble in tech talk at Krystal B. Clark. My Etsy store has some handy dandy digital downloads. Lastly, my YouTube channel is up. Kindly run over there and have a look or two. Links are in the episode. Alrighty, I'm Krystal on Moving With Meaning the podcast, reminding you to take it one step at a time. All moves have meaning. Check y'all later.